Right then, so head over to BBC Newcastle and listen to the interview Nick Barnes did with Stewart Donald, which basically it's about, I think, 25 minutes long. Could be wrong on that. And basically it's the first time we've actually heard from Stewart Donald for at least a good few months, maybe even not far off a year, to be honest. But for me, I just kind of wanted to give my sort of reaction to it and just see what I think. Well, first of all, it was actually nice to hear from him for a change, because like I said in the message video that I did, I'm not interested in hearing what Jim Rodwell has got to say whatsoever. I think that he's just someone who I think is just there to be the puppet of things and just be there to sort of soak up criticism. But in saying that, those are a few things I took away from that interview, and there's a couple of there's at least one unpopular opinion that I'm going to have in this, which might end up annoying people, but still, screw it. For me, the biggest thing I took away from the interview, the biggest question I had from the interview was that and I appreciate Nick Barnes, don't get me wrong, I appreciate he had a limited time frame to work, well, apparently he had a limited time frame to work with, but for me, the biggest thing that it didn't really clear up was the FFP loan. Now, first of all, Nick Barnes has said that FFP apparently aren't interested in buying the club. Why? Why are they not interested in buying the club? Why have they seemingly got no interest? Why are they interested in investing but not buying? That to me makes... I'm not having a go at Nick Barnes there, by the way, but to me that just makes no sense. Secondly, what's the FFP loan there for? What's it been brought in to do? If it's been there to help run the club, then fine, but what's going to happen if we get taken over? What's going to happen with that FFP loan? What's going to happen with regards to paying it back? What's going to happen with regards to... Is that going to be... Do FFP still get the assets that was apparently reported... So do FFP still apparently get the apparent assets, that was in talks many years ago when that loan was initially secured? So in other words, if Donald, Methvin and Sartori, and by the way, I think I would have liked to know where the hell Juan Sartori is, because he's been missing for the good part of 2 years. Thane SCIC is completely spot on there, by the way. You know, we claim that, you know, he's going to do all this, that and the other. Well, what's he actually done at the club? He hasn't actually done anything. But as far as the FFP loan's concerned, a few months ago, whenever it was secured, the narrative was that, you know, if that loan wasn't paid back by the likes of Donald, Methvin and Sartori, that then FFP get assets of the club. Now, what's happened to that? Where's that gone? That's the biggest thing I kind of took away from it. With regards to my own opinion on Donald, look, we've had disagreements on who saved the club. I'm not getting into that again, but for me, I still, to an extent, take what Donald says with a pinch of salt. If the abuse thing is true, if the abuse thing actually is true, then everyone who's doing it needs to hang their heads in shame and be really embarrassed of themselves, to be honest. No place for that whatsoever. Especially if it, and again, this is if what he's saying is true, that, you know, it presides over Stewart Donald's family. Fair enough. You know, and that's one thing I do agree with Donald on. He's fair enough to ask it, you know, if family shouldn't be targeted. If that is happening, that's embarrassing. So if anyone's thinking of doing it, don't. Simple as that. The biggest thing for me, and the unpopular opinion that I've got, the biggest issue is the asking price. Up until now, we had suspected what the asking price would be, but we didn't really get an official guidance or confirmation from anyone at the club what the asking price actually is. Now, apparently, according to Donald, it was 40 million, but with regard to something to do with the Ricky Alvarez deal and how the hell we are still having to pay that off, I don't know. It's now down to 37.6, something like that. Around about the 37 million mark. Now, I am in two minds about this. On the one hand, I completely understand that if Donald didn't pay that much for the club anyway, as a lot of things suggest that Donald didn't pay a lot for the club, then for me, Donald really has no right to ask for that price. If he's you know, look at the £20 million that was apparently took out of the parachute payments in order to try and buy the club. For me, yeah, look, you can't then ask for 37.5 million if you haven't put anywhere near that much money into the club. Kieran Brady is absolutely bang on Total Sport. A lot of this is about money. Let's not pretend it isn't. Donald might have the interest of the fans, I don't know, but it's definitely one of the primary factors is money. That's how business works. But then kind of on the other front, I think in the grand scheme of things, if you try to forget Stewart Donald with the circumstances in which the club was purchased, for me, £37 million for Sunderland should be considered a bargain. Now, I know people are going to say, I know there's obviously a lot of different things, like we haven't got parachute payments, we've barely got any revenue coming in, you know, in terms of like broadcast revenue, where you do get a bit of it in the Championship, but you barely get any. So you'll probably get, but we'll probably be on TV 4 or 5 times a season max, and that's including the playoffs. If we don't finish in the playoffs one way or another, we'll probably get 2-3 games maximum. So for me, I understand completely on that sense why people... I do understand to a degree why people would shirk from that. But at the same time, I also don't agree with it because £37 million again, in the grand scheme of things for Sunderland, should be considered a bargain in my opinion. We've got one of the best stadiums in the country. We've got a Category 1 academy, albeit we're doing bottle with it in the minute, but we have got a Category 1 academy. You'll not find many clubs that have that. We've got a fantastic fan base that can make up and that can generate more revenue than most of this league can do. On the other hand, though, we have got the running costs of the club, which is fair enough. But I just think that if someone came in, like again, I think that if Donald's... I put it this way, when Donald purchased the club, however much Donald has paid for Sunderland, whether it's 40 million or 16 million, whatever it is, the fact is, the quoted price was 40 million. Bearing in mind at that point, Sunderland have just gone down twice, were hemorrhaging a lot of money, wasting a lot of money, I might as well point that out, and also, again, we had a massive debt, and we were on a downward spiral at that point. And yet the asking price quoted was 40 million at that point. Now that's, again, if what you believe was Stewart Donald at that point. I don't believe Ellis Short for 1 minute would have just given the club away for free. I think there would have been something in it involved for him. So, which is fair enough, that's how business works. But, so when you consider all that, yes, again, we had parachute payments, but apparently if that's the case, then we can't use that. If that was used to buy the club, we can't use that anyway then, because the parachute payments didn't go into the club. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think that in the grand scheme of things now, given the potential Sunderland's got, I think £37 million should be pretty fair, or at least not far off that from buyers, regardless of the fact that we're in League One. Because again, you can say, oh, well, clubs in League One don't sell for that. Yeah, but not many clubs have the potential that Sunderland do. Portsmouth's the only one I can think of that can possibly be in that conversation for me. So, and I'm not having a dig at other clubs, I'm just stating how I see it. I think Sunderland as a club should be looked at as potential more than anything else. There's a reason, for example, Mike Ashley wants to sell Newcastle for, like, say, whatever, 400 million or whatever it is. Obviously, that is him being greedy to a large extent, and I'm not saying Donald isn't being greedy with this, because he probably is being a bit greedy with this, but for me, Newcastle's got potential, especially if they get taken over. The potential they could become is something different, so why is it? So it shouldn't be any different with Sunderland, in my opinion. The higher up the league Sunderland get, the value will considerably increase. And for me, you shouldn't have to spend that much to get into the Championship in the first place. So say if someone came in and spent a few million and got Sunderland the Championship, I'm prepared to bet you that the value for me would then at least increase by 10 to... If 37 million is the value at the moment, I'm prepared to bet you that the value of a club the size of Sunderland in the Championship, one league away from the Premier League, would be considerably higher, I think. You can disagree with me, that's fine, as long as it's respectful. I think that in the grand scheme of things, if you forget how Stewart Donald purchased the club, if you forget that we're in League One, I think that is I know you can't completely forget we're in League One, but the point is that there are foundations there, I think. So I don't 100% get why people are snubbing at that price. Look, I'm in an unpopular minority opinion on that one, but that's just me. Look, guys, I've rambled on long enough. Let me know what you think in the comments below about the Stewart Donald interview. Have you listened to it? What's your reaction to it? I might see if I can remember to put a link to the interview in the description. And just thanks again, guys, for watching. And let's just hope something happens soon. And by the way, very quickly, we need to have some clarity from the EFL about A, when the season's starting, and B, this stupid salary cap that could potentially happen. We need to know these things so that we can progress, because we have to get promoted this season, and we must have some clarity so we can actually go forward and prepare for it. Take care, guys. Appreciate it as always. Love you all lots, and take care and stay safe out there.